Hello friends, it's Lisa, and today's video I'm going to be tier ranking my bullet journal themes from this year. So last year I did this video where I went through all of the themes, all of the different themes that I did in my bullet journal throughout the year and tier ranked them. I talked about the ones I loved, the ones I really hated, and everything in between, and I thought it was fun to kind of reflect on the year in that way. So I wanted to do it again this year. I've definitely had a bit of a mixed bag with my themes this year, and I also feel like just in general this year I've had a lot of ups and downs with my bullet journaling. I've had moments where I've absolutely been loving it, and I've had moments where I've been like, do I even want a bullet journal anymore? So on that note, let's get into the tier rank. Okay, so I have my laptop right here and I'm going to be using 5 different tier levels to tier rank my bullet journal themes from this year. So the top tier, the best of the best tier, my favorite ones of the year, is in the oh stunning tier. The next one down is the she's cute tier. So that's just going to be the ones that maybe aren't my favorites that I've done, but are still cute and I still really enjoyed them and I liked the way that they turned out. The middle tier is just going to be the basic tier. Some of these themes are just nothing special, but I don't hate them. They're just a bit basic. Then the next tier is the well, I tried tier, which is just going to be the tier of ones that maybe I don't love as much. Maybe I feel like I didn't execute them well. I could have done them better at another time. They're just ones that maybe I just don't love as much. And then we have the bottom tier, which is what's this about, which is going to be the worst of the worst. The ones that I really just was not happy with, didn't really like the outcome, and I feel like these tiers are pretty self-explanatory, so let's just get into tier ranking. Okay, so I think it makes the most sense for me to start this tier rank off with January, start at the beginning of the year. And so for January, I did a Ski Mountain theme. This was a theme that I knew I wanted to start the year off. I almost did this as my December theme in 2021 and then panicked because it was just winter and not Christmas. I don't know why I can't ever do a December theme that's not Christmas themed. I just love Christmas, what can I say? But I wanted to do this in December and then went, no, let's do something Christmassy. So then I decided to do it in January and I'm pretty happy with how this theme turned out. I feel like the drawings themselves are pretty simple, and sometimes I think the simpler the drawings the better, because then there's less room for me to make mistakes or for it to look bad. But sometimes I feel like a little bit more time and a little bit more detail to the drawings that I could do throughout my themes could be beneficial, and I feel like this is one of those times where I wish I had spent a little bit more time doing a little bit more detail with the drawings in this theme. I think it's cute, but I don't think it's anything special, so I think I'm going to put it in the basic tier. I will also probably at the end look at everything, see where everything's placed, and move things around before we finalize the tier ranking. Okay, next is February, and this month I did like a pastel baking theme. I knew I wanted to do a baking theme at some point. That was one of my ideas that I had for a long time, so I decided to do it in February, and I think it came out really well. I'm really happy with this one. I just love the color palette as well. I love like the pastel colors. I used like a light pink, a light purple, and like a light yellow color, and I think they worked really well together. I just love pastels too, so I just really liked looking at it. It was very bright, very fun, and I also liked that I didn't use any of my like black fine liner pens or anything. I used mainly gray pens to like draw any boxes or anything, so there was nothing super harsh. It was just like a very soft and like pastel theme, which I really liked. I don't know if it's one of my favorite themes that I did this year, but I'm gonna put it in the she's cute tier because I definitely think it's cute and definitely like a favorite from the year, but I don't know if it's in the top favorites. Okay, next is March, and this was another theme that I had as an idea for a while. I feel like the beginning of the year I was definitely feeling my most creative with my bullet journal. I was still really inspired and motivated to do my bullet journal, and throughout the year it kind of dwindled a bit, but we'll get into that. But definitely the first 3 months of the year were the months that I had like my ideas planned out months in advance and was really excited about them. So my March one was my like library bookish theme, and I think this might be one of my favorite bullet journal themes I've ever done. I just think I'm the type of person where if there's a book or anything bookish involved, I'm going to enjoy it. And this one was just like such a cozy like type of theme. It's this like library room. I had books on shelves everywhere throughout all of the spreads. And I brought my bullet journal over from this year so that I could show you specific spreads that I wanted to show throughout the months. And for the March habit tracker, I set it up where it's bookshelves, and then each book on the shelf is a day of the month, and I would color it in when I did that habit on that day. And I love this. I think it was so fun and a different way of doing my habit tracker. I feel like there's really only 2 ways that I do my habit tracker throughout the year, especially this year where I was not feeling my most creative. But I feel like March was definitely a month where I was feeling very creative and very excited about journaling, and I just really like the habit tracker. I think it's really fun. It not only fits like the theme from the month, but it also is functional, which I feel like is the best of both worlds with bullet journaling. This was also a month where I had a quote page, which I don't always do, and I feel like I might want to do more next year because I just love the way that it turned out. I'm going to try and show this without showing anything too personal. But yeah, it's a Cassandra Clare quote with a chair and the bookshelves, and I just really like doing quote pages. I think it's just a fun way of being a little bit more creative, but definitely not something I want to do every month, but I think I need to do more of it because I feel like I always like the way that they turn out when I do them. So I think this one, it has to go on the Oh Stunning tier. This is probably one of my favorite bullet journal themes that I've done this year, probably ever. I just really like it. I want to like be in this bullet journal page. I want to be in that library. Okay, moving on. I know I just talked about the March theme for a very long time. You could tell that that was definitely a favorite by how long I just talked about it, but next is April, and this theme for April was kind of a like gallery wall sort of thing. I just drew a bunch of different types of frames. I had like 4 different marker colors that I used to just do a bunch of different drawings and things inside of the frames, and it was really simple. It was a really simple theme to do. It was just drawing those little illustrations inside of the frames over and over again. This was one of the months where I really came up with this theme kind of on my own. I don't think I saw any like Pinterest posts or Instagram posts with people posting something similar to this that I got inspiration from. That does tend to be where I get inspiration for my own themes. I obviously don't completely copy other people's ideas and their bullet journal themes, but I take a lot of inspiration from the bullet journaling community. But this is one where I just like, I don't know, I think I just thought a gallery wall theme would be cool and also would be not necessarily quick because I had to draw a lot of frames and draw a lot of things within the frames, but simple in the sense that I just drew the same things kind of over and over again on each page, and it was fun. I guess I did like the way it came out, but I definitely don't think it's a favorite, even though I am proud of the fact that I just like came up with that completely on my own and just went with something without seeing like a reference picture or anything, but it's definitely not my favorite. I actually kind of forgot that I did this theme this year. When compiling all of the pictures for this tier ranking, I completely forgot about this theme. So I kind of want to put it in Well I Tried, but I don't think it's bad. I just don't love it that much. I don't know. I think I'm going to put it in Well I Tried. Not that I think it was poorly done, I guess. It's just not necessarily a favorite. All right, next. I feel like this is when about the time of the year where I was very much lacking in inspiration for my bullet journal, and May is just like one of the more simple themes that I've done this year. It was kind of inspired by the different patterns from the 80s. I wanted to do like an 80s inspired theme because season 4, volume 1 of season 4 of Stranger Things was coming out in May, and I absolutely love that show so much, so I wanted to do something to celebrate the new season, but I definitely was not feeling my most creative, so I just looked at a bunch of different reference photos for different patterns of things from the 80s and kind of combined a few different things, took some fun colors and made a pattern out of it, and it was not my most creative theme. I'm gonna put this in the basic tier. I don't think it's bad. Like, I think it's fine. Like, it definitely has that 80s pattern vibe that I was going for. I just don't think it's like the most creative or the most fun theme, and I definitely was not feeling my most inspired and creative when doing this theme. I definitely feel like there are a lot of really cool things that you could take from the 80s and create a theme around, and I just simply did a pattern. That was it. That was all my brain could compute doing. And sometimes the simple themes are good, but again, definitely one where I was just not feeling my most excited and inspired with bullet journaling. Okay, next is June, where it's another simple theme, but I actually think how simple it is works in its favor, and I think it makes sense, and I also really like the way it turned out. I did a Heartstopper theme for June. The Heartstopper TV show came out a few months, I think it came out in April, and I obviously watched it, loved it. I love the comics as well, and because June was Pride Month, I figured why not combine the two and celebrate Pride Month by doing a Heartstopper theme. theme. So I really love the way this theme turned out. I think I took a lot of like inspiration from the different doodles and things from the comics, as well as the things that were in the show as well. There were a lot of like little like animated drawings. There were the like lightning bolts and the hearts and the flowers and the obviously the leaves, which are kind of iconic, that are in the comic as well. And I kind of took those things and just kind of put them throughout all of the spreads. I also, for like all of the headers for the month, kind of replicated the Heartstopper like font and like the writing that Alice Oseman does. And I also really like the way I set up my weekly spreads for this month, because I set it up kind of in like a comic strip looking way. And as you can see, I kind of have not been using my weekly spreads as much. There's a lot of empty days, which I think plays into the fact that I have not been into bullet journaling as much as I have been in the past. I definitely have not been keeping up with bullet journaling as much, but I still like the way those weekly spreads came out. I think this might be one of my favorite themes that I did this year. As simple as it is, I think it really worked well, and I took a lot of elements from the show and the comics as well and made them work in a theme. Okay, I think I'm gonna put this in the, is it in the She's Cute tier or the Oh Stunning tier? That's the question. Because do I love it as much as the March one? I don't know. I think I'm gonna put it in the She's Cute tier, actually. As much as I love it, and I guess I executed it well, I feel so weird like talking about myself in such a positive way. I'm like, wow, I did something good. Not used to talking to myself like that. But I do think I did that well, but I just don't know if it's like on the same level as some of the other themes I might want to put in the top tier. I don't know if I love it as much, so I'm gonna put it in the She's Cute tier for now. I might move it up at the end of the video, we'll see. Okay, next we have July, which was like my picnic theme. After doing that March theme where it was very like, it was very drawing heavy, but it was kind of like messily sketched out. I just really liked that vibe and I wanted to do more of that. And so that is where I kind of got my inspiration for July. Plus I just wanted to do like a picnic theme. And I think this is also one of my favorite themes from the year. I just really love the types of doodles I did. I think that like messy sketched out look that I've done a few times this year. So I think I'm gonna put this in the Oh Stunning tier. I think this might be one of my favorite themes. Plus, I'm just gonna keep pulling out the journal to show you different things. For the habit tracker, I made the habits like inside of like a blanket that was put down on the grass for the picnic, you know, and I think it's really fun when I can incorporate the theme into the spreads that I want to have and have it be a little bit different than normal but still functional. But I think anytime I can slightly change up a spread that I do in my journal every month where it's just like slightly different, it's really on theme or it's just set up a different way, I feel like those are the ones where I'm the most happy, because I feel like I sometimes get stuck doing the same things like I said. So I do really like the way that that theme turned out. Okay, so next we have August, and this is one of those interesting ones where the theme itself I think is fine, but I'm very much look at this and I think about how I was feeling in that month and in that moment. And when you're looking at the same theme for a whole month, I feel like looking at it now, it just like brings me back to how I was feeling at that time. And this was a theme that I didn't plan to do. I had, I think, another idea of what I wanted to do this month. I don't remember what it was, but I wanted to do something else and it just was not working out. It was not coming out the way I wanted it to, but I was just so uninspired. I think I was in a bit of a slump, just like a life slump, a creative slump, and I could not think of anything. So this was definitely inspired by another bullet journaler's theme that they had done with like a lemonade theme, and I took a lot of inspiration from that. So I just look at this and I'm like, yeah, that's a thing that I did. I don't know, I think it's fine. It just doesn't like make me feel anything because I just think about how I was feeling at that time, and also I didn't really come up with much on my own. Like I tried to make the theme my own, but it definitely was heavily inspired by somebody else, and I feel like those are the themes that I'm like the least excited about because someone else kind of came up with the theme itself. So I think I'm gonna put this in Well I Tried. I think the actual theme itself and the drawings and everything are fine. It's just bad vibes when I look at it. It just doesn't make me feel good, and I know like how slumpy I was feeling in that moment. So it's not my favorite. But then we have September, which I think this was actually what I wanted to do in August, and I was trying to do it in a different way and it just wasn't coming out well. But then I tried again in September and I love the way it came out, so I'm glad I waited. And it was kind of my like fairy tale cottagecore mushroom theme. I made this little mushroom house and I had mushrooms kind of growing on all of the pages throughout all of the spreads, and I had like on the title page I had it coming out of the book, kind of like a fairy tale, and I just really love this theme. I just love like the cottagecore aesthetic. I don't know if that's necessarily my aesthetic, but I love looking at it. And I think lesson learned, anytime there's a book involved in any theme, it's one of my favorites because we had the library theme of March. There's a book on the picnic blanket in my July theme, and then this theme is coming out of a book. So I think this one is also going to go in the Oh Stunning tier. This is also another theme that has that kind of style of drawing that I really like to do, the kind of messy like sketchbook, but like more detailed kind of style of drawing. I feel like that's something that I need to do more of because as we can see by the top tier, those all have that and they're all my favorites. So I really like this theme. I think it's very magical, and I wanted to do a mushroom theme this month, but I didn't want it to be just like a simple mushroom theme. I wanted it to be a little bit more, and I think everything that I chose worked well together and is definitely one of my favorite themes I did this year. Okay, now this is where things get interesting because I feel like the past few months, bullet journaling has been a bit of a struggle for me. I feel like these past few months have been the months where I have really been reconsidering if I want to bullet journal or bullet journal in the way that I'm bullet journaling. Like, do I want to find a different way of planning and documenting my life? I don't know. I'm still unsure. I'm like gonna bullet journal next year. I asked Santa for a journal this year, so hopefully I get that from Santa. And I'm definitely planning on continuing to bullet journal next year, but I definitely think depending on how next year goes, if I get that love for bullet journaling back, or if I'm just in a creative slump the rest of the year like I have been the past few months, we'll see. We'll have to reconsider, but you can tell that the past, I feel like, few months, I've just been kind of like, I don't know, just not as into it. So October, I did another baking theme, very similar to February's theme, except I made it like witchy and magical. So some of the baking supplies were more potion bottles, or I had a witch's hat in there, and I just kind of wanted to take a baking theme but make it spooky. And I like that. I just don't think it was the most creative considering I had done a baking theme earlier on in the year. I think if I had done this theme maybe next year where there had been some space from the other baking one, I would have maybe liked it a bit more. I just felt like it was not the most creative because I basically just like copy pasted a theme that I did earlier and just made it a little bit more magical. So I don't know. I like it, but it's not, I don't know, it's not my favorite. I think I'm going to put it in basic just because I took a theme I already did and just made it a little bit different. And it's not even just a theme that I did before, like years ago. It was a theme I did literally this year. So yeah, I think I'm gonna put it in the basic tier. Okay, next we have November, which this was my Taylor Swift Midnights inspired theme, and I actually like set my bullet journal up for November and did this based off of just like the pictures and stuff that we had seen from the album. The album was coming out like later on in the week when I filmed this, so this was purely based off of the aesthetic of what we had seen so far about the album. I'm like trying to make excuses for myself, but this was not good. I really did not like the way this came out. I actually think this is probably one of my worst bullet journal themes that I've ever done. Not because I don't love Taylor Swift or Midnights, because we all know I love Taylor Swift more than anything, and Midnights is fantastic. I just think that this was just not good. It was just not good. This is gonna go in What's This About, that tier. It was not good. I'm not happy with it. I don't think it came out well, and I definitely was, again, in a very like slumpy mood. I was not feeling super creative. I didn't know what I wanted to do for the theme this month, and that was like a last minute like day of filming when, what if I did this? And it just didn't work out well. Sometimes my last minute ideas for my bullet journal work out well. Sometimes it's really bad and I need to give it more thought. So this was one of those times where I should have put more effort into it this month, but I just didn't have the energy, and you can tell. My actual November has been great. It's been very busy but very fun, a lot of great things happening, so it's not a reflection of how I have felt throughout the month. The actual theme is just not good. Okay, finally we've made it to the last month of the year. We have December's bullet journal set up. So this one is interesting because I love the way that like the title page and like the first couple pages of this month turned out, because I did the cutout thing where I cut out the window panes and I put like a piece of white tissue paper in between two pieces of paper to make it look like a frosted window kind of thing. It's very confusing to explain, but hopefully you understand what I am saying. I also will have all of the bullet journal videos from this year linked below in case you want to check any of these out, see what all of the spreads ended up looking like. But with this one, I really liked the way the title page, like that first initial page, came out, but then the rest of the spreads I thought were fine. They're very Christmassy because I love Christmas and I simply can't do a theme in December that's not Christmassy themed, but I just don't necessarily love the way everything turned out, the way the drawings turned out. I don't know, some months I really like the way that things turn out, and some months it's just not the same. Even if I feel like I'm doing the same things, I'm not doing anything different. Sometimes it just comes out better than other months. So I think I'm gonna put this in She's Cute simply because the window itself and that window cutout and being able to see the like inside of the house through that window on the front page is really fun and really different for me, very creative. But the actual theme itself, once you get past that page, is just like, it's fine. It's Christmassy, so I love it, but also it's not my favorite. So I think I'm gonna put it in She's Cute. But that was the final month of this year, the final bullet journal theme to tier rank. So let me just quickly look at the final tier ranking and see if there's anything I want to change. I think I'm happy with it. So in the top tier, I have my March theme, the July theme, and September. In the She's Cute tier, I have February, June, and December. In the basic tier, I have January, May, and October. In the Well I Tried tier, I have April and August. And in the What's This About, I have November. And I'm actually kind of surprised that there aren't more towards the bottom of this tier ranking, but there definitely are some themes that I did enjoy this year. I think it's just been an interesting year for me with my bullet journal and just journaling in general. Like I kind of was saying earlier, there's been moments this year where I've contemplated if I wanted to continue bullet journaling and maybe try a different way of planning and documenting my life, or, you know, if I wanted to keep bullet journaling. And I've had months this year where I've been loving it, and I've had months where I've wanted to stop. And I think that that's just normal. I think a lot of people who bullet journal I've seen go through times where they really love it and times where they stop for months. And it's just, I think, what can happen, especially if with something that is so creative. It is a little bit more of a creative outlet as well as a way for me to plan. And some months I'm, you know, in a bit of a slump, whether that's a creativity slump or just a life slump, and that makes doing this kind of difficult. But there are months where I'm feeling super creative and inspired, and those are the months that I absolutely love sitting on my bullet journal. So I think it's just normal that I've, at this point, after bullet journaling since 2019, I've had moments this year where I've been like, not having the best time with this. I think that's just normal. But I am planning on bullet journaling next year, and I'm actually really excited to have a fresh start, a new journal to start in, and I hope that it goes a little bit better for me next year. I hope that I get that love for bullet journaling back, because right now I think it's missing a little bit. So hopefully next year that comes back and we can keep on the bullet journaling videos, because I do love setting them up for you all and filming those videos each month. Also would love to know any of your ideas for maybe bullet journal themes that I could do next year. I would love to get suggestions from you all and maybe try and do them in my journal next year. I think that that might help me have a little bit more fun with it, give me some inspiration, and it would just be fun, I think, to hear your suggestions and try and make it into my bullet journal. So definitely let me know if you have any ideas for what I could do. Also, if you bullet journal or just journal in general, I would love to know how it went for you this year. And if you have any like certain themes for months, if you kind of do it the same way I do, if you had a favorite theme that you did, I would love to know. But yeah, definitely an interesting year bullet journaling wise, but I'm really excited for next year and to see what happens in my journal next year and what I do with that. And I also, if you're curious, will be doing a 2023, which sounds fake. That doesn't even sound like a real year, but I will be doing a 2023 bullet journal setup video, hopefully coming either at the end of December or beginning of next year. So stay tuned for that if you want to see more bullet journaling videos. But I think that that is going to be it for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.